Okay, Major Craft America approached me last year to test out a new rod they're bringing over to the States. The Ceana 7.9 medium, rated 5 to 25 grams, which is right in the sweet spot for quarter ounce single jigging. I took it to a number spot because I wanted to bend this rod as many times as I can throughout the trip. Last year I reviewed the Tatula XT 7.3 medium, and so I thought we'd review another budget rod for 2024. The Major Craft Ceana will retail for under $100, which, considering its components and performance, is probably a tie with the Tatula XT for best value shore fluking rod on the market right now. Unlike the Tatula XT, the Ceana is a two-piece center cut rod, and at 7'9" it comes in at 3.8 ounces, which is impressive for a rod of this length and power. Now, the most unique quality of the Ceana is its action. The blank is incredibly fast, but we'll talk more about that later. First, let's take a close-up look at the rod. Very dense and high quality EVA. Some EVA is soft and mushy and those won't wear very well at all. Now moving up to the up-locking Fuji reel seat. Very basic plastic reel seat that won't give you any issues whatsoever. The foregrip is nicely contoured and ergonomics is great on this rod. Guides are K-series Fuji fast lights, which are a step up from the aluminum oxide on the Tatula XT. And the Ceana balances very nicely with my Ultegra 2500, the perfect reel to go with this rod. One thing I'll say is this rod launches that half-ounce total payload. Effortless bomb cast with the Ceana. This rod also reminds me of older Loomis jig and worm rods. Thick diameter and thin-walled blanks with an aggressive taper and extremely fast tip recovery. Like beyond that break. Now here Max is helping me out by demoing this rod on camera. Notice how quickly that tip recovers after every input. That quickness is unusual for a rod at this price point. Generally speaking, $90 to $100 rods are too slow in action, but the Ceana is almost too fast. Now, there are many advantages to a true fast action rod. First, that crisp rod recovery helps propel the jig through the water with very little effort on your part. Second, you get very quick and powerful hook sets because you can access the backbone of the rod a lot sooner than a moderate action rod. Finally, for the most part, light fast action rods are generally more sensitive by default, and the Ceana checks all three of those boxes. But there are a couple of downsides to fast action rods. They tend to want to unload under pressure. A more moderate tapered rod will keep its bend under lighter pressure and thus keep fish pinned better during the fight. A true fast action rod is also less versatile, and this Ceana is no exception. To me, it's a bottom contact jig rod only. I will not throw jerk baits or crankbaits on this rod because the taper is too fast to keep fish pinned on hard baits. Definitely unloads. So right there you heard me saying to Max that the rod unloads. And it does on small fish. Small fish don't really matter, but until I catch a couple of nicer fluke, it was an open question on which way I would judge the Ceana, whether there would be a review on the rod at all. So far it's been all shorts, nothing even close to a keeper. And that's why I chose this location. I knew it was a solid number spot. And I did want to test the rod thoroughly since I did agree to give Major Craft my feedback. But thank God I do manage a keeper here. Oh, fuck me. Now on this fish, notice the difference in the bend. Hello. I guess doubling the weight of the previous shorts was enough to keep that rod loaded perfectly throughout that fight. I will say that even with the rod wanting to unload on the micro fluke previously, I didn't lose a single fish that day. A lot of that is just knowing how to compensate for a stiffer blank and understanding how to keep pressure on fish with rod angles. Things we go over in the Fluke Jigging Mastery course. And since we're shamelessly plugging products, that last fluke did come on the spinner blade attachment as well. As I deal with a couple more micro fluke, let's get down to the basic question. Would I recommend the Ceana 7.9 medium as a fluke jigging rod? The answer is yes, with a couple of caveats. I think the value is tremendous for a sub $100 rod. It is light, balanced, crisp, and sensitive, all areas where the Ceana punches way beyond its price point. I would say that if you are a complete beginner to fishing, the fast taper of the Ceana is less forgiving than something like the Tatula XT, and you'll possibly find yourself losing the odd fish here and there. But then again, on the couple of decent fish I caught that day, the rod did load up beautifully, so take that for what it's worth. A more valid reason to skip the Ceana is if you want to use the same rod to experiment with jerkbaits. Now I've posted a lot of jerkbait fluke content on this channel, and for the most part the rods I recommend can cross over to do both, especially the various Daiwa rods I've reviewed in the past. If that's something you're interested in, then this Ceana is not for you. It's strictly a jig rod for big hook sets on single jig hooks. Here's a final look at a decent fish on the Ceana. So once again, on the keeper size fish, the rod loads up perfectly. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.